Well, hey there, everyone. Meteorologist John Gross. Today, we are going to be talking about severe thunderstorm categories. What exactly does that mean for you? And what exactly does that mean for me? Sometimes these categories, honestly, they can be a little bit confusing. If you've ever seen a map with some of these colors talking about severe weather chances, they might have used terms like, oh, we have a slight risk today, or oh, we have a moderate risk today. What exactly does all of that mean? Well, we're going to talk about it and talk about what each category means. Now, here's a look at them, all 6. Now, these are issued by the Storm Prediction Center, otherwise known as the SPC. Now, we have 6 on here, but 5 of them are technically when we're talking about severe weather. We have just general thunderstorms right there in that light colored green shading. That's the chance again for non-severe thunderstorms, where you still could get thunder, lightning, and maybe some flooding concerns, but once we start to get into the other 5, that's when things can start to get a little bit interesting. So let's go ahead and talk about them, and just remember, when severe weather is being issued, or we think we're going to have it, and we have it issued in the forecast, there's an acronym that a lot of meteorologists use. It's called SLIM, and we talk about wind shear, instability in the atmosphere, lift in the atmosphere, how much moisture do we have in the atmosphere. All of those things coming together gives us the priorities, or at least the parameters to look at for the chances for strong to severe storms. So again, this is the first one. When we talk about general thunderstorms, we're talking about non-severe thunderstorms. Now, we see these all the time, and the chances there for still lightning, flooding, that exists with any thunderstorm, whether it is severe or not. But these are general thunderstorms. Main hazards, we talk about winds up to 40 miles per hour. When we say small hail, remember, you need at least the hailstone to be 1 inch plus in diameter for it to be technically categorized as severe. So less than 1 inch in diameter with our hail, and usually when we're talking about just general thunderstorms, the tornado risk is pretty low, or in most cases, non-existent. But as we continue on, we're getting into the categories now. 1 through 5 is what they're labeled, and that's what we'll have them labeled for you right up here. Marginal, that's number 1 out of 5, so that's the green colored shading. Isolated severe storms, but usually they're limited in coverage and intensity, so they're not really going to be long-lasting. Now, they can occur, but probably not going to be tracking over a longer period of time. There's a look at those hazards. Winds anywhere from 40 to even near 60 miles per hour, and once we start to get the winds above 57 miles per hour or above, that's when we're talking about that severe criteria. Hail up to at least 1 inch in diameter, and the tornado risk. It's low, but it's not zero. Have we seen tornadoes occur when we have marginal risks in play? Yes. Do they happen all the time? No. But it is still not zero. That's number 1. Let's look at number 2. This is the slight risk. Scattered severe storms are possible. Still short-lived, usually not as widespread, but you still could get a few isolated, intense, severe thunderstorms. And the hazards, those are just going to continue to get worse as we go up in category. So again, this is 2 out of 5. Damaging winds, even straight line winds. Remember, you need that 57 or greater for the winds to be categorized as severe. Hail, 1 to even near 2 inches. So now we're getting closer to golf ball sized hail potentially. And even still, the tornado risk, now we're talking about the chance for maybe 1 or even 2 tornadoes to touch down. Let's go ahead and move on. This is number 3. So now you're talking about the orange shading you would see on the map. This is called the enhanced risk. So we're now at 3 out of 5. So now we're starting to really get up on the ladder for these categories. Now we're talking about numerous severe storms. So you can have multiple severe thunderstorms. You could even have multiple tornado warnings potentially when you have an enhanced risk. These are usually more persistent, widespread, with a few of those intense storms that again can produce damaging winds, hail, usually near 1 to even near 2 inches. Even 2 plus at times, but usually still within that 1 to 2 inch diameter range for the hail. And now we're talking about the chance for a few tornadoes. So 2 plus tornadoes could be possible when you're talking about an enhanced risk. As we move on, now we're getting to the top of our categories. These are less common to be issued, but when they are issued, we are expecting widespread severe weather. So now we're at the red shading, moderate, 4 out of 5. There it is, widespread severe storms, usually long-lived, widespread, and intense. So now we are expecting these storms to be widespread. We're expecting these storms to be long-lived, so they can move by county to county or potentially from state to state, depending on exactly what's happening. Hazards, they're usually more widespread with the damaging winds. And then you're talking about those hailstones. Remember, the past two, we were talking about usually 1 to 2 inches. We could talk about hailstones here 2+ inches. So now you're getting into softball-sized hail. You're getting into grapefruit-sized hail. That's when we can really start to do a lot of damage to any property outside. Strong tornadoes, the enhanced Fujita scale, remember that's EF0 to EF5. Usually when we're talking about strong tornadoes, that's when you talk about an EF3+. And those winds are easily topping 100+ miles per hour. Now, this is when we talk about the highest category, literally high. 5 out of 5, you're talking about that pink shading. Widespread storms, they're likely. Like we are expecting a severe weather outbreak depending on what is going on across the country for a certain portion. Long-lived, very widespread, and particularly very intense storms. This is the highest category you get. So again, usually when we're talking about these high categories, they're not issued often, but when they are, usually you could expect a big severe weather outbreak. So the hazards, this is as bad as it gets. Widespread damage, you're talking about damaging winds, straight line winds, usually anything outdoors. If you're caught in one of these storms, it's not looking good for any outdoor property. Large hail, you're talking about, again, softball-sized hail, grapefruit-sized hail. Can do a lot of damage to cars, windows, crops, agriculture, and then tornadoes. You're talking about EF4s to even your EF5s. Not good when you're talking about severe weather. So, again, these are the categories that we talk about with severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. So the next time you are ever issued a severe weather outlook and we're talking about these severe weather categories, you'll know exactly what to expect. I'm meteorologist John Gross for Beyond the Forecast.